Thanks for having me.
No worries, man. You've been one of the most requested for sure.
Yeah, right.
Like I know a few people have asked.
I'll take that as a compliment, I guess.
For those who don't know who you kind of are, just want to give us a brief rundown of who you are and what you do. And
well, basically, I guess the best way to put it is I've been around for a long time now. I started racing when I was 17. I'm now 35, so do the math there. I don't think I can. Too many head knocks, I guess. But yeah, so I've just been around for a while. Like I did one race as a junior, and I just kind of fell in with everyone pretty quickly, and I guess got better known for my younger days for being a bit of a class clown and hurting myself a lot. Basically, yeah. And now a little bit more behind the scenes, like run a team and have my own business and yeah, help I guess some up and comers, and yeah, some have moved on to bigger and better things, and yeah, some are sort of taking off now. So yeah, that's basically it. I guess most people have seen me around the races over the years.
You're a hard man to miss. Yeah. Like you're what, 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'4", and a bit over 100 kegs these days, I think. yeah. Big teddy there.
What's the team that you're on?
So the team, it started about basically, so when I started the business Missing Link Bikes, like bringing in Banshee bikes as well, it just started as I guess basically kind of a fun thing to begin with. So it was just myself and Michael Willis, another mountain biker, and it kind of grew from there. So then it was Connor Clancy as well, and Brendan Cragg from Canberra, and it was just meant to be a bit of fun, I guess. And then it sort of grew into a whole nother beast. So, you know, now we have team sponsors. You know, there's still the element of fun, but you know, we want to do what's right by our sponsors as well. So it's there's an element of seriousness, but yeah, we still have a good time, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're the only team that was pouring shots out of the tent at in Bright.
Oh yeah. Well, that was Miko, but yeah, I went along with it. You can't help. He's an infectious little fella, isn't he?
I wasn't complaining.
Yeah.
And got the night started off real
quick. It did. It was probably bad looking back. I think that's when COVID just kicked off and we were just sharing around a bottle from memory. Yeah.
There was no COVID in that stuff. It wasn't going to survive.
Oh, no,
that's for sure.
No. Put hair on your chest. Like, what was it called? A dub liner. Dub liner. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wiped it from my memory.
Yeah. Well, get it back in there.
As you mentioned, like you started at 17, yeah. And you were from like less than humble beginnings. Bikes were kind of the last thing you guys wanted to spend money on and could afford. So basically, long story short, I guess, like to put it bluntly, my family was poor. So I grew up in like government housing. Mum and dad split, like so many families in Australia, I guess. So spending money on a mountain bike, like a downhill bike, just it wasn't at the top priority. Like I remember, like it all started, like mum started dating some Swiss dude. He come out to Australia, and like I wasn't doing anything back then. I was like a little, fat kid, and like he took me out for a mountain bike ride, and that's sort of how it all began, I guess, before getting the bike and starting racing and things like that. And that's what planted the seed for me. And then and then it was like the next task was like, well, okay, how do I get into this, and like what's the approach, and working out, like, at that point I didn't even know, like I thought there was just mountain biking, and then there's downhill mountain biking, we got cross country riding, we got trials riding. So I didn't know what direction or what path I was going to end up taking. But I remember mum got me like a video, like a VHS for the kids, and what are they?
Yeah, big plastic thing, young fellas and ladies and gents. But yeah, it was like Transcontinental Headliners, I think and maybe like one of the Mud Cows movies, like Burning Calves, I think it was. And I was like, this is sick. Like, you know, these guys, they just do downhill. Like, they just go down hills. Their bikes like kind of look like motorbikes. That's pretty sick. You know, they wear cool gear, even though they're wearing skin suits now and again, but you know, each their own. And yeah, so I decided I wanted to do that. So the next task was to try get one. And you know, I tried playing mum and dad against each other because they'd split. That didn't work. So the next option was basically I ended up working for my dad, like in my school holidays, for $50 a day. So slave labor, probably illegal looking back. And
100% illegal.
oh yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I was on job sites just as a kid, like no hard hat, and just cruising around. But I did that for like most of my school holidays when I was younger. I think it took about 2 years maybe to get my first, you know, downhill bike. And it was a giant ATX 1DH, like the Rob Warner one, the red and yellow one. It was pretty sick.
Yeah, so sick.
Yeah, I wanted it so bad. And like I saved up. And I remember like it was in Wollongong, and like dad drove with me there, and I had like the, you know, the guy was actually so patient looking back, but I think I gave him like maybe $200 in coins as well. Like it was like ground all my pennies to buy this thing. And I eventually got it. And that's sort of what's it, when it all started kicking off. And so I learned, you know, like where all the cool spots were to go ride. And, you know, didn't really know too many people. There was, like a mate called James Bashford, or there's the Bashford brothers. A lot of the guys know their names from my sort of era, but yeah, it was those guys, and we used to just cruise around and like try to learn how to ride these things, and the path from there, basically, yeah. But yeah, it was hard work to get there. That's for sure. That first bike, man, I had to work for it.
Do you reckon that I guess like it's a hard to say a blanket statement. Like a lot of kids get some pretty sick bikes, and then there's kids that are in the same situation. But going through that process of saving up your money, spending $300 in coins, like, did that make the bike worth so much more than what it actually was?
Oh yeah, look, 100%. Like that was my one possession. That was the only thing I cared about. Like at that point, like I didn't do anything else. I just rode that bike everywhere. Like I used to ride that, like, you know, I'm sure other kids have done this too, but like I used to ride from one side of Canberra to the other to go ride for the day, you know, or, you know, I'd have like my backpack on just full of water, and I'd spend a whole day out there doing that. But yeah, that's when it sort of started to become my life, I guess. That was the thing. But I think that when you have to work for it, you learn the value of it. You don't take it for granted. Like for me, like having to save all that money and work for it, it makes you really appreciate when someone does, like, you know, if you get like just a discount for, say, like you appreciate that so much more because you know the work that 100%. Goes into that. So, you know, if it saves you a little bit of money, or if someone gives you some product or whatever, you know, because there's all sorts of different forms of sponsorship or whatever these days, but you know, I think you learn those values because nothing's been handed to you on a plate so much. Like you know how hard it is to keep going with it because you know the costs involved just from the get-go, you know.
Oh, dude, I think that's like a huge lesson that a lot of kids might miss out on for sure. Like you see them breaking a rib and they're just like, wow, whatever. Do you think like the bike also gave you a kind of freedom and a way to get away from like your situation? I'm guessing you didn't go on holidays that often.
No, definitely didn't go on holidays that often. It was, for me, and even now it still is that outlet. Like, you know, if you have a shit day, or if, you know, life at home's not good or whatever, you know, going out riding your bike was just the ultimate reset for me. And then like when it came to my family, you know, being so dysfunctional, my family sort of was more the group of people I ride with, you know, that they were the people I was closest to, definitely growing up. And even like, you know, my siblings would say, you know, like to any girl that was trying to date me, like, good luck, like, you know, getting you away from his mates. Like that was the thing. Like, I was just so fixated on my mountain bike family and being around those people. Like they were the massive positives in my life at that point in time. So like if I hadn't have picked up a mountain bike, God knows what I would be doing.
I mean, we'll try not to go down this kind of sadder path as much, but do you think that having those friends with the mountain biking, like everyone's got that same goal and they're all driven to ride bikes better and everyone's driven, having those people around you might be a better solution than having the usual people from your community around you? If you know what I mean? Like,
yes and no. So like, I guess everyone's situation is different. Like, so like where I lived, it wasn't too bad. Like, it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like ghetto-ish or anything like that. So Canberra, like, you know, government housing or whatever, it's not like a favela or whatever. So like when who I was around, I guess for me, like, as a young kid, like, I was more of a dork. So like, I was like a bit nerdy. I wasn't particularly popular or anything like that. So there was no like worry about me like turning to a life of crime or like getting into drugs or anything like that. You know, the risk was me like sitting behind a TV, eating all the time, and like having, I guess, no positives in life. Like, I think that, like, I could have easily ended up like running with the wrong crowd, I guess, later on in life. But that at that point in time for me, it was I was just a boring kid. Like, I just didn't do anything. Like, I had element 2 back then. Like, I was like super cool. Ladies wanted me.
So the sisters weren't saying too much to too many girls at
the
time.
Yeah. So I've got it's older sister, younger brother, and that's it was it's the standard middle child basically. But like I wasn't doing myself any favors. We'll put it that way back then. Yeah.
And how did you kind of get into the racing scene? Like, obviously riding and just being on your bike was enough and you were stoked on that, but you got into a bit of racing and
so like I was pretty lucky. Like, so I fell in just with like a great group of guys in Canberra. So the Bachelor brothers, who I already talked about. But like I can't even remember how it all happened, but we ended up like basically meeting like Jared Rando, Ben Corey. There's another guy, Gareth Payton, who owns the iconic trails in Canberra. Him, and that was sort of like, I guess you could say, sort of a mentors somewhat. Like, and Ben's gonna hate it, like me saying anything like this, but like I remember like hearing about him, like, oh, you know, he's junior world champion, like he's a super gnarly dude, and I was like, oh, whoa, this Ben Corey kind of thing, you know. But we just kind of fell in with them, and I think, you know, especially for Jared as well, I think he saw like how, you know, how tough we were doing it. Is probably the best way to put it. Like, you know, clapped out bikes and things like that. So he kind of he definitely helped us out a fair bit with like direction and things like that. Like he'd give us like old tires that, you know, still had some life left in them, and things like that. And I think like falling in with those guys like was probably like the best thing that could have happened to me with mountain biking, because like starting, I guess, like by today's standards, like 17's kind of, or even back then 17's kind of late, you know, like, so it it was good to fall in with those guys, and they sort of helped you get up to speed a bit quicker, I guess.
Were you up the pointy end of many races, or were you winning much, or was it
not so much me. Like it, I definitely tried. We'll put it that way. But like I'd say, like, so because I only got to do one race as a junior. Actually, it was where was it? It was Mount Beauty, and I think that that was my first ever national round as a kid. And I convinced my mum to take me to it, and I think it was so Gareth So Gareth Payton, he decided, I can't remember how it came about, but he said that he would give like James and I haircuts. So I used to have like really long hair, like sort of down to here kind of thing. And James got I think it was like a mullet or something, and it just suited him to a T. It looked like he was meant to have that. And I ended up, I was like, and this is like, I guess how it all started as me being like a bit of a clown, is I shaved, like got them to shave the top of my head completely off, razor it off, and comb it over. And that was, that's how I turned up to my first ever race. Like no one knew me except for like Gareth and a couple of other people. And then I think that opened the door with some other people as well, just because like, they couldn't help like go, what's going on with your head? Like, and I still,
if he's going to do that, he's going to do it.
Yeah. I still remember, like, I think it was like Tylee Muxlow when she was racing. She was like one of the first people I saw, and she's like, "Did you lose a bet?" And I was like, "No, just did it, just one upped it." And yeah, like Brent Atkinson, all that were on the bus as well. And I knew these were good guys, like, but didn't know too much about them. And I was like, "Oh, far out, they're talking to me. This is wild," Yeah, and that was my first race, and it was an eye-opening experience. I'll put it that way. It pissed rain, and like I just crashed my brains out. That was my first national round. It was like diabolically hard for me. Yeah, but yeah. So I think that was my first junior race, and then I moved to what was it? What's it called? Like Sportman? Is that the one below elite? I can't remember.
Sport or
expert? Yeah, expert.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
So I ended up there, and I think I went all right from memory. I can't recall. I think I remember like that's when I met like Jono Taylor, Revolution Jono. He was in expert man as well, and I think I spent 6 months maybe in expert, like one summer or something, and then the standard mountain biker thing is like, everyone gives you shit. So
exactly. Yeah.
That was the next thing was like, you got to race elite. Like Benny, Randa, you got to race elite. Why are you racing expert? And then before I knew it, I was trying to race elite. Yeah, just crashing my brains out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's kind of cool that we get that shit given to us by like others when you're racing expert. I'd rather come last in a grade above me than be first, no grade below me.
Yeah, well, I think that's changing now. Like, I mean, we've got sandbaggers kicking around. I think Michael Willis, he'd be number one sandbagger at the moment. Performance.
Yeah,
got to name and shame him, but yeah, like, I'm back in elite. We'll put it that way.
And like throughout this time, like you're racing, you're on a super tight budget, and you're having like frames welded and still racing on like bold tires and stuff like that.
Yeah. So the old ATX 1DH used to break through the swinger continuously. So I used to go to like a workshop in Canberra and get them to weld it up all the time. They'd put like another bit of alloy or steel on it, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Just so I could keep riding it. And bald tires, like you'd have brakes that didn't work. I remember one of the boys did a race with just one brake because and it was just a front brake of all things too. Like we had like bent forks. You just made do. Like it was like, the bike, if it rolls, I can race it. That was the mentality. Like, like riding with no derailleurs. Like I remember racing Threadbow with no derailleur. And couldn't afford a derailleur, so that was the option. And blown shocks, and you just did it.
It's like the best form of skills training.
Oh man, you'll never ride anything worse. We'll put it that way. Yeah. Like I reckon you get like back then I could have hopped on a Kmart bike and probably rode it just as hard. Like it probably would have felt about the same as my bike.
And like you came up, as you said, you had like Bryn Atkinson, you had a few of those kind of not up and coming, but like semi modern riders, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was just after like the Rennie and Kovarex and stuff. was the scene kind of like in that weird transition?
Oh man, well, so when I first started, it was sick. Like it was awesome. So I'd say it was still like that old school, that kind of rowdy downhill scene when I first started. But we started seeing like a bit of a change, like, Nico Vullios was around, and like it was starting to get tidied up. Like, people were being a little bit better behaved as the years went on. Like I'd say the first, till I was about 19, or maybe a bit later, even 22, it was still pretty wild at some times. But then, we started to see the shift in, like, I got to be an athlete. I actually got to train. I got to do stuff. Like it wasn't so much as riding your bike anymore. You had to have like a foundation of fitness as well. And I'm sure, like, Rando and the boys did have like a foundation of fitness, but like a lot of us, we didn't know, like, we didn't know anything about that. Like, I remember like when after the fires in Canberra, sort of when, I can't remember what year that was, should remember, it was a pretty big one, but I think that's when we started like, okay, we got to like ride our downhill bikes up the hill to get some fitness and to work it out. So at the start, when I first started racing, it's still, really, I say rough and ready. Like, they were fun years. Like, I'm glad I got to experience that. Like, I feel bad for the young guys today that haven't got to have that part of it. Man, it was fun. Yeah.
I mean, even like Rennie and Kye, like, they still train. Like, Rennie,
yeah. Well, Rennie was like he was in some of the best shape he's probably ever been in back then. And but yeah, like they definitely liked a beer as well, like or a spirit or whatever. Like those guys definitely like to drink as well. Yeah. And I think that was that was the hard thing for a lot of people, and at any level, was like moving with that shift of like, I can't drink the night before a race anymore. Or I can't party the night before a race. Like, and we did that a lot. Like, me and a lot of the guys, like it was just part of it. You'd and like there's plenty of races where you're just like, it doesn't matter how I go. Like, I'll just have a big night. I get down. It's going to be a bunch of fun, and then there's the after party. I'll win that. Yeah.
I think during that time, like, if you weren't hungover, it was considered a performance enhancing drug.
100%. Yeah. It was almost like it was like you had to, like, it was a rite of passage. You had to, do your seating run hungover at very least, I think. And then not so many like finals runs, but like I think seating runs there was a few dusty heads around. I think I'd probably be like in the top 5 most of the time, but like of dusty heads. But it was definitely a bigger part of the scene back then. We'll put it that way.
It's definitely not like that anymore.
No.
Not even at local scenes. No. It's still, even the local race scenes are changing. So much more training involved now. It's crazy.
That's it. Everyone wants that elusive deal, whatever it may be. They want that free bike. They want that sweet kit. Oh. Yeah.
Hey, I'm one of those people. I love it.
Yeah.
But after a while of racing around Australia and doing your thing here, and you started making your way into people's lives and getting up in the scene a little bit, you went over and raced in Canada and Europe a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like? Like, that's a big jump from obviously your humble beginnings.
Yeah. So Canada was like, so that one was good. That was a walk in the park, I'd say. I was surrounded by like some good people. So Gareth was there, Peyton was there, and Claire Whiteman was there, and it was still a bit of party time, we'll put it that way. And Rennie was there as well. So we went over there. We were there for like a month and a bit. So we were mainly there for Crankworks, and that was my first introduction to international racing and like longer tracks. It was harder. So Canada, it was an eye opener. Like, I still remember being in awe of it. Like, oh my God, look at these mountains. Like, and just when you first pull into Whistler, like I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how amazing it was. So Canada was a good one for me, like good learning experience. I think once again, even then, like that was, so I had a bit of money in my bank account those days. Like I'd started working as a bike mechanic in the shop as well. Yeah, like, and I'd learned how to fix my bike from lack of having no money. So like I had a little bit of cash around, so I wasn't roughing it so much. I spent 1 week in a hotel, and then I think the rest of the time was like in staff accommodation, like so many other Australians that go over there. And so we raced Crankworks, and I did. I crashed a bit again. Yeah, I think it was week one. Week one, I ended up in hospital with maybe 14 stitches in my arm, and I learned about travel insurance pretty quickly. And like when you go to Canada, you got to pay for it straight up. So
yeah,
word up to any young people going to Canada to ride bikes when we can again. Make sure you have money in your bank account to pay for it if you do crash, because they don't. The insurance doesn't work like that over there. So yeah, I did that, and that was great fun. I was like, this is pretty sick. So then I think it was like we came home, did like a national season. Man, all the years blur together a bit, don't they? And I think I typically at that point in time, I was breaking like a bone or two a year, I'd say. I was breaking a lot. I was breaking myself a lot. Like I was, I was probably spending more time in a caster or a sling than I was like riding a bike. We'll put it that way. But yeah, so then I went to. So my two friends, the Bashwood brothers, decided they were going to go to Europe, and like chill out over there and race and stuff. And I was like, well, these boys were like pretty loose with their money, and I decided I wasn't going to be as loose with my money, and I was going to go to Ireland and try race some Irish MPS rounds and get a job in a bike shop over there. And it was going to be a really smart move for me because I wasn't going to end up with a heap of debt. So yeah, I went to Ireland, and I shipped my bikes over, and it took like a week and a half for them to get there after I got there. So I missed like a race straight away. I was like, shit. And I had no car and like nowhere to live as well, like pretty quickly. So, you're learning on your feet pretty quick. And I was lucky to say like a girlfriend at the time was living in Ireland, and things got reconnected with her, and I ended up living with her. And but I had no car, so like all I could do was like catch buses. So I hop on a bus and with my downhill bike, and they chuck it underneath, and then I find somewhere to stay, like in the town wherever the race was, and and then try to find where the race was. And this is when we didn't have smartphones either, so like it was like you to find out where you were, you had to get it on a laptop. So it was a mission to find anywhere I went to find where the track was or anything. And it was the Irish guys, like I don't know, back then, like I feel like they were a very close clique, and it was a hard one to get into. Yeah. So
that's like going from Canada, which is like meaning Australia and probably like the mecca of mountain biking, and then you move across to Ireland. Like it's just such a weird choice.
Oh man, like, hindsight, ain't it a bitch? I wouldn't do it again. Yeah. Live and learn. Look, they had some cool tracks, but yeah, I wish I'd done what the other boys did. We'll put it that way. Like, yeah, mainland Europe is way cooler. Yeah.
They don't have Guinness over there.
Well, this is true. Like, I guess it suited the other half of my lifestyle, which was like the drinking and partying. So Ireland was great for that, but it did not help my mountain biking in any way, shape, or form. Like, yeah, I dislocated my shoulder like really badly. It was I can't remember even where the track was, but it was like seeding run, and there was like this big road gap, and it was all roots and wet, and like we didn't ride that stuff in Australia. Like it was unheard of. Like I'd never ridden anything wet until like maybe 3 days in Canada like the year before or something. And I smoked myself so hard. I remember seeing my bike tomahawk and like take out 3 people, and
yeah,
I was like, shit. So maybe that's why I didn't fall in with the click. I ended up taking out too many spectators. I don't know.
just killing their partners on the side.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it was.
It was pretty savage. I remember that. It was bad. Yeah, I wish there was video of it. Probably be on a highlight reel on some grainy video on YouTube now. Yeah.
While we're kind of talking about crashing and stuff, and you mentioned a few times, like you've had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Like what's your kind of list, and what do you reckon some of the worst ones have been?
So the list, I'll try to remember it because there is a lot. So I've done my left wrist twice, right wrist once, left elbow twice, left collarbone twice, right collarbone once. What else has I done? Fractured my hip. I've done my ribs. I've collapsed my lung. I broke my ankle. I'm sure there's more bones in there. No.
I think you said a femur.
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
How could I forget that one? Broke my femur. And I've had like a serious staph infection as well. So that was pretty gnarly. Concussions, and or when concussions weren't a thing that you worry about. So, you just take them in your stride and hop back on your bike.
Mm.
Yeah. So, yeah, lots of them. Like it's, I still remember like when Masters, like a few years ago when I saw him overseas, he said to me, he goes, "You're still the most injured man I know." I was like, oh, that's a win. That's a title, is it not?
And like, yeah, I mean, I got a pretty long list, but yours just blows one out of the water. Like,
yeah.
How do you keep riding? And I guess what was the worst one, and how do you keep riding after that? Most people tell us to stop.
So I got told to stop a lot, like more often than not. They're like, especially family and friends that didn't ride, like, why you're going to kill yourself one of these days if you keep going like this. But I don't know, for me, it was like, it comes back to that, that family side of it. I was like, these, the people I ride with were my family. They're the people I was closest to. And you just wanted to be around them. And like, you go away to a race, like, for anyone that is getting into racing, the Australian race scene, it's super welcoming, like at a club level or anything. Like everyone's going to be there, like someone you don't know will happily like, oh yeah, come do a run, follow me through here and help you. Like that's the thing I love about, like, I'm sure there's a couple of bad eggs there is in anything, but for the most part, like, yeah, like everyone's super welcoming and they just want you to have a good time riding your bike. So that was always the attraction, like to get back around those people and to have fun. Like I plenty of times I was like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. Shit, this is,
Yeah, you get over it.
I've got to, recover again. Like I remember I broke my wrist. Yeah, there we go. I broke my wrist, and then within a week of leaving fracture clinic, they take the cast off. Within a week, I was back in there with a broken collarbone, and they knew me. Like, yeah. So it was one of those things that was never going to kind of end, I guess, for me. Like, I just always come back to it. But come back to your question, I guess, about the worst ones. Whoa. Geez, like they're different levels, I'd say.
Yeah.
Look, I'd say I have favorites and there's worse. So favorites would be like kind of funny as well when they've happened, and then worse is pain. So like when I got staph in my leg, that was pretty gnarly. So the end result was it started like tracking up my leg and going to my heart. I got hospitalized. I was in the infectious diseases ward, and I was still all happy and cheery about it. And then they talked about like cutting my leg off because it was getting like really gnarly. Like we're gonna have to amputate your leg if we don't.
Huge.
if we don't get a hold of this like in the next sort of 24 hours, because if it goes to your heart, you're dead. And that's when that one hit home for me. And I was like, man, like all of this just for doing something dumb. And it was something so dumb. And that's where the funny part comes in. Like I was riding a postie bike naked at a party and got high-sided. You know, that was like, that was like one of the bad ones.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. I was like, oh man, like I missed a race because of that. Anyway, long story short, still have my leg, all good. But the worst one, by far, is the femur. Yeah, it was. I'd heard people talking about them and like, you know, breaking their femurs and things like that. I'd never seen anyone break one. And I think it was like maybe Tim Barsley-Smith, a photographer, I guess, if you guys know him, he broke his. And then not long after, Tracy Hannah broke hers. And that was sort of the first sort of things I heard about breaking femurs. And like, I didn't know anything much more than that. And then, I snapped mine at Mount Buller, and all I could do was scream. That's all I could do. And I think anyone was there could probably remember it. Sorry for messing up your practice. But it was gnarly. And like that took like 4 surgeries, I think, to come back from, maybe 6 months of like sort of rehab, kind of like even just learning how to walk again and things like that. I still walk with a bit of a limp. I think if you look at Tracy too, she still has like a bit of a pimp limp from hers as well. But, you know, like I think the big thing for me was like that was a pretty dark point, because that's when I thought, oh, okay, this is me done. Like I can't do this anymore. And like I was like, I had so it was Tim Barsley. He was on the hill with me like when I snapped it. He was one of the first people that found me. And he kept me pretty together, I'd say. So big ups to Tim. And then when I got flown to Melbourne, and then I think one of the first people like that wasn't my partner was that messaged me was like Tracy Hannah, like, you know, saying, oh, you'll be right, you know, it's another injury, but you'll come back. She told me about her one, and then the boys from SRAM turned up, I think, 24 hours later after that, like came and visited me, and then Caroline Buchanan turned up like not long after that. I was like, shit, I'm gonna keep doing this, like these are my people. And
exactly,
like, when you have people like that sort of, lifting you up and telling you about their experiences with injuries and things like that, like if they're still doing it, why can't you? And so I just sucked it up, I guess, and like did the long slog and learned how to use my leg again, and then started riding again.
Yeah, it's insane. That's a really good point about how many people kind of gather around you with an injury like that. Like, but femur's one I haven't done, and I never want to do. Like it's generally scary.
I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Like for me, like it sucked because like, so Mount Buller was fairly remote, and this is when, like, I guess M2BA was turning to shit, for lack of a better word. So it was all changing, and they were meant to have an ambulance on site, like for practices. It was just like
you'd expect it.
Part of it. So there wasn't one. So I was on the side of the hill for 2 hours screaming.
Fuck.
Yeah. And I had like 2 pethidine whistles, which were good for about 30 minutes a pop. And the rest of it was just, I don't know, me trying to stay in my own head. Yeah. And not look at my leg.
Dude, I remember when I first heard like Brooke's story as well, just like thinking about being in the side of the hill in that much pain.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's worse than the actual break itself, is just going through that.
Yeah.
Like
it was, nothing will ever prepare you for it. Like it was like almost out of body. Like I can kind of remember faces around me when when I was laying there, like I remember Connor coming up to me, Connor Fearon, and he's like, "Oh, dude," he said, "Oh, he goes, that sucks. You'll be right." And he's standing there. He's like, "Fuck, dude, I gotta go. I can't see this shit anymore." And then like he left. Like he just,
yeah.
I was like, I was like, "Oh, you're right, dude." And then, you know, like I still remember like little bits and pieces. Like I was fairly drugged up, but like, yeah, I think like the funny thing is with like each one of these injuries, like, even after the fact or whatever, I feel like I have like there's always something that's funny that's happened while I've been, you know, laying on the ground or whatever, you know, like one of the mountain bikers said something funny, like, and I think that's the good thing about like everyone that races. They're genuinely concerned, but they generally will try make light of the situation a bit more, and you know, sometimes it helps. More often than not, it helps. Sometimes I guess it's counterproductive, but yeah, I think like, yeah, having those people about, you know, still making jokes or whatever, like it definitely helps. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's whenever I see, we'll touch on this in a minute, but whenever I see like an injured kid or someone injured, like there's no point stressing about it or doing anything because it makes the whole situation so much worse.
100%. Like the calmer you are is the calmer they are, and yeah, like I think that like having Barzo around, like someone that had broken their femur, like it was just great. Like he knew exactly what would have been going through my head and just kept me super grounded. Yeah.
And do you think like that, because you were around when Carolyn Buchanan had her massive crash, like in that UTV?
Yeah.
Like, was it hard seeing your good friend in that position? And do you find like your brain just kind of switches into a different mode then?
Look, it was like when it first happened, because she was walking, so I didn't really I didn't think much of it. I was like, oh, she's hurt, whatever. She had like a bit of a blood nose. That's all we could see. But yeah, like, you know, not long after that, like I remember, like, so where it was, there's no phone reception or anything. And, you know, we asked if she needed an ambulance, and her partner at the time said, yeah. And we're like, well, it's not, and they're not going to find us here. We got to drive out there. So that's when it sort of, for me, it hit like the seriousness of it, because like obviously she was badly hurt. Like we were gonna have to rush her off to a hospital. But I think that was the, you know, like you kind of just fall into that, like being someone that's been on the other side, like you know what, like yeah, like we were saying, you know what is helpful. Yeah, like you try take them away from that situation and try make it so they don't think about it. So like I still remember, like it was we were driving along and you know, taking her to the hospital, and she sort of, you know, kind of listing like what it felt like or whatever. And I remember she said one thing. I was like, oh shit, she's done a lung for sure, because I knew what that felt like. So I kind of like, you know, like I was on the back seat, I was just kind of propping her up and like trying to keep her calm and like getting her to concentrate on her breathing, because I knew that was like a big thing for me, is like staying calm, and you know, it made it not
100%.
hurt so much if you breathed a certain way. And so I got it. Yeah, so I was doing that, and then it was she mentioned something about her heart, and that's when I started sort of, I guess, like freaking out a little bit. Yeah. And yeah, so that I think that's when it became like a little bit more real. And yeah, it wasn't till like the next day I found out like how actually bad her injuries were. So she ended up getting, you know, taken to Canberra Hospital from Cooma, and yeah, like we started hearing more about her injuries, and like she like had, you know, like ruptured the sac around her heart, and done a sternum and stuff. And I was like, shit, that was, you know, it was pretty heavy. So, you know, as soon as I got back, you know, I went in and saw her, and you know, I was like, far out, you know, you look better. And And
Yeah.
I just did sort of like, I know I did what I do with Kaz, and like I've known her for a long time. Like we're great friends. So I basically just took the piss out of her, and you know, I started playing songs that were related to her injury. And yeah,
So good.
yeah. So I just had them on my phone. I was like, and then I realized like I was doing more harm than good, because it really hurt for her to laugh as well. So I was told to stop doing that pretty quick. But yeah, that was full on. And then I guess, you know, seeing that struggle afterwards as well, with so many surgeries and like her putting a career on hold and things like that. Like all you can do is just, you know, be a good friend, and you know, tell him like it's not going to be forever. You know, it's
exactly.
you'll come back, and like there's people that have done worse and they've come back. And I mean, hey, look at Brooke McDonald now. Like Jesus, you know, that's
But he's not a human, so it's different.
no, he's something else. Yeah. They need to run tests on him, like take his blood and work out what's going on in there, because man, I need to get me some of that. It's incredible. So I think that's the thing you got to remember with injuries. Like more often than not, there's someone that's done something worse than you, and had it far worse off than you when it comes to injury. And you know, they come back, they find a way. Like, I mean, you know, look at Grant Allen. Like he had a life-changing injury, and like he's still going. He's at the Paralympics. You know, or was at the Paralympics. You know, like, you know, it's all in here. Yeah.
I think it's still like, you know, when you're a kid and like you see something happen, and like you cut your finger or you do something, and for some reason you think it's going to be like that forever.
Yeah.
like you just don't understand that time.
Yeah.
And there's still a bit of that residing in your head when you've got a bad injury. Like,
yeah. It feels like an eternity, doesn't it? Like when you break a bone, it feels like, shit, I'm going to be jacked for like that long now. Like I'm not going to be able to do anything. And I mean, like when I was like, you know, when you're like 17, 18 or whatever, you're like, shit, yeah, I don't have to go to school, or I don't have to go to work. This is sick.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even think about like, oh, I'm not going to be able to ride my bike. I was like, shit, I don't have to do anything. This is rad. But like, you know, later on it became about like, yeah, I can't ride my bike now. All my friends ride bikes. I'm not going to see my friends anymore. And like they're all riding bikes. I can't do anything. So yeah, it was sort of that. You start having those realizations later on, but it's like it. I know for me it was, the leg was a tough one, but yeah, I don't know. I come back eventually. It took some time. Yeah.
During like, as you mentioned a few times now, especially with that Carolyn Buchanan thing and how you kind of come through the sport, but you're a bit of a clown, but somehow you still managed to stay serious. Like you party pretty damn hard. I've seen it. Yeah. But you've also got one of the best stores, or one of the best workshops in the country by far, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And you've got this amazing like race team, you got sponsors and stuff, and you're friends to some of the best riders in the country. Like, how do you balance like the two almost personalities, or is there no balance for you?
I think there's pills for it, but for me, I just I don't know. You got to know when to be serious, and you know when you can make light of it. There's definitely times to be serious, like, you know, like, yeah. You can't be a clown at a funeral, we'll put it that way. But like, if I think for me, like, and I think everyone's different, and I've always tried to not take life too seriously, like in all facets of it. And I think it's, you know, like anything, it is about balance. So you need to, like with mountain biking, I think, you know, some people they take it so serious. Like, you know, like this is, it's a job and they want to make a career out of it. And that's fair, whatever, you know, it's their own. Like, and I admire people that have that laser-like focus, but I think it's, you can burn yourself out that way, and you'll take the fun out of it. So for me, I always just like think of why I picked up a mountain bike and why I got into the sport, and that was to have fun. Like, you know, so it's cliche, and I think so many people say it, like, you know, remember like why you did it. But I don't. Yeah, I think there's no true words have ever been said. Like, you know, if you need to be able to have fun while you're doing it. Like, yeah, when it comes down to race run, you know, game face, you know, turn it on. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Like it, you know, like I still get scared, like going through the gate. Like, I think so many people do. Like, you know, got to take a leak like 5 times up the top when there's like you barely had a drop of water throughout the day. So yeah, it's definitely about balance. So when it comes to like the business and team, like it's, you know, when it comes to like fixing bikes, you know, you got to be serious, got to do a good job. But yeah, you still got to be able to. I feel like people operate best when, you know, they're having a laugh as well, and it's kind of calm. You know, they can have a laugh and they're relaxed, and then, you know, when it comes time to perform and whatever it may be, that's time to, you know, that's when it's time to get serious. But, you know, the lead up to that should be enjoyable. Yeah. But I think every athlete's different as well. Like, you know, some people just, some athletes and stuff, they just, you know, they are like this. But I think for the most part, a lot of people perform a lot better. Like, I mean, you look at the teams like that mesh really, really well overseas, like the World Cup teams. You know, they're having fun, and those teams that are having fun and like have that balance are getting good results. So I think it's a juggle. Like, it's easier to go the other way a bit more. And for me, it was like you kind of learn from your mistakes. Like a couple of times, yeah, you know, too many beers and didn't take it as seriously as I should have. And you know, you kind of like being in the industry that long as well. You hear what's frowned upon, and you know what's sort of not acceptable as well. So, you know, you're going to make mistakes along the way, but yeah, it's you live and learn. We'll put it that way. Yeah, it was an learning experience.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think you see like that kind of attitude changing. Like, I mean, you look at the Syndicate, I think it's one of the best examples at the moment. They've gone from that kind of fun loving team, and they had a really good setup, and there's less people now, and there seem to be like a different vibe there, and they're not doing as well. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, well, we had Greg, but
world champs, but yeah,
I think 100%. I think like teams, and you see some teams like of now, you know, they have people like from the same sort of countries that they know that mesh well together, like, you know, Canada and Australians or vice versa, and yeah, they that gel well together. And like Euros, you know, they do things a little bit differently, so they, you know, put them together a bit more as well. So I think you see some teams have gone that way as well, whether it be from like a financial perspective as well. But I think, yeah, if you have people that sort of click, I guess, or similar, like, yeah, like you can see they're having fun, like, yeah. But it all depends on, I guess, there's so many factors as well. Like, I guess it, you know, mechanics as well. Like, they're all part of it as well. Like, you know, they
the biggest part, in my opinion.
Yeah. They're psychologists, and they fix the bike. So I think it's it takes a crew to make one person go good. Yeah.
You've been a mechanic in a couple of those situations, right? Like, you were Sean's mechanic a couple of times.
Yeah. So yeah, I've mechanic for Sean, and done a little bit with Caroline. Like, went overseas, did BMX stuff with her. That was like something super different for me. There's not much you can do to a BMX. I learned that, but yeah, like you're more or less, you're just making sure they're drinking water. Yes. Yeah. A pat on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glorified water boy.
Yeah. For Sean, especially, like, yeah, it was you know, keeping her head in the game and keeping her positive. Like, it's easy to go down that rabbit hole of, I can't do this, or this is scary, or whatever. And I think I was, for the most part, like, looking at a bike and just telling her to just keep chipping away, to keep going. Like, when she started getting the shits at mum and dad or anything like that, telling her to pull her head in, like, that was that was the experience with her. And it was and she rode amazing in Cairns. She did awesome, and I think she was really stoked with that as well. And then we were all meant to go to Lenzerheide, and then she injured herself and couldn't go, and we just went over there anyway. So
why not?
So because I was so I put the word out that I was like, look, I'm going to World Champs anyway now, so if someone needs a mechanic, hit me up. And I was meant to be mechanicking for the Junior Da Vinci team, so they approached me, and then I can't remember who I was meant to wrench for, but anyway, they didn't make the team or something. I can't remember what happened. So then that fell through, like, right at the last minute. I was like, oh well, doesn't look like I'm working. And then just went over there and hung out, and cheered Kye on, and still did Boxer Worlds. Still got a Guernsey to go do that. Sick. So that was good. Was a bridesmaid again for the second year in a row. So, but just still a good experience. So I think, given the opportunity, like, if I was offered a World Cup team job or whatever, even at this stage in life, I'd have to seriously consider it, just because the people that are in that sort of rolling circus they're all great people, like, and they're all a lot of fun. And definitely all the guys from SRAM, like, I love all of them and get along well with them. They're just fun guys.
Oh, dude, that's the main reason I buy SRAM. It's just the community, like, but what was I gonna say? Just around that Sean thing, like, she's super self-critical about her riding and stuff. Like, it's very hard to, I think managing that's got to be difficult.
Like, I think she's like, I guess, like any young girl at that age, except she's not being critical at what she's wearing and body image, but it's just more about like how she's riding on a bike. I guess, but like for Sean too, she just went from like within the space of a year or whatever, like starting mountain biking, and then boom, she's like doing well.
Exactly.
Like, she was so thrown in the deep end, and she just had this natural sort of athletic ability. So she was like, she was learning on the fly, and that got in her head a little bit, but it's one of those things you just gotta, I don't know, I just gave her a push and told her to stop being a little bitch a lot. And I don't know, I opted for the aggressive, like, big brother kind of thing, and just I went down that route, and it seemed to work with her. And because like she's like, she was a teenage girl, like, and Nick and Jen could talk to her like that, but nothing would happen. That's mum and dad. So like, if I talk to her like it, I generally get a reaction. So I'd it worked. So,
that's so good.
I felt bad sometimes doing it, but it worked. I think it was like, it was one of her best results. What, she get 7? I can't remember. Shit.
I can't
yeah. I think she did quite well. We'll put it that way. Like, she surprised herself. So it was good.
That's sick.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of move it on to a different subject, and it's kind of different, but you've obviously been in the sport a while. You've seen it go through like a few stages, like as we mentioned, and you've helped out people like Sean and stuff. And I mean, we're pretty much on the same page at the moment when it comes to the sport in Australia. But what are your kind of thoughts on how mountain biking is at the moment and the scene?
Look, I think, we're seeing more people than ever pick up a mountain bike, but the the scene when it comes to, I guess, downhill mountain biking and like the racing side of things in Australia it's been on a steady decline since I started racing when I was 17, to the point now it's like, to be frank, it's a bit of a joke. Like, we used to have, it used to be set, like in the summer, you're like, okay, boom, national series. There'll be like, 5-6 rounds, bang, bang, bang. You plan your summer out, and you go do them, and you work towards, getting your points if you want to go overseas or whatever. And you go from there. And we've just seen over the years, like, it's gotten more and more expensive. So it's unattainable for, like, people that don't have a whole lot of money. Like, it makes it pretty hard to go away and race a bike. Like, and that used to be the thing. Like, at least you got value for money. Like, you pay the amount, and you get like 4 or 5 days of riding your bike, at least just runs. Like, it wasn't even so much about the race for a lot of people. It's just being around people and riding. And that's it. I remember each year, like, you get like less and less practice, and it get more and more expensive. So that was like the first telltale signs of it. And then, and then it just started, like, because of that, just numbers started diminishing. Like, we didn't have that atmosphere anymore. Like, you used to have like people on the side of the track just yelling and like cheering you on, because we had like, Joe Blows doing the sport. like, that did take it
exactly.
It was about people of all levels, like even being at the national, being a national event. And that's the thing, like, they tried to make it more elitist for some reason. Like, mountain biking it's not elitist. Like,
no, not at all.
Everyone that does like mountain biking, even now the top level, is like a little bit rough and ready. Like, they still got a bit of mongrel in them. Like, they're not boring as batshit. So I think it was like, we saw this change of them trying to almost make it like more like road cycling, like make it a little more sterile, and which just didn't work. And so, numbers started dropping. And then now we've got to the point that we have the National Cup. I mean, come on. And that's so, like, and I think that was MTBA was facing scrutiny like all the time, like, you run a shit event, blah blah blah, because they weren't running the greatest event. And I mean, I've been pretty vocal about it over the years, and anyone that's seen me at a race it a couple of times blowing up about things at MTBA. But like, they so then, their answer to that was the National Cup. So they'll put it back on the clubs, So I'm not too familiar with it. I'd have to read up on it again. But like, I'm pretty sure you put in a bid or whatever, you pay X or Y to, or now, what's it called now? What did they change the name of it to now? It's not MTBA, it's bloody cycling.
Oh, cycling. Yeah.
Cycling, whatever. I don't know. They changed the name. It's meant to make it all better and grand. And, mountain biking is meant to be back up in lights or whatever. But now you have these qualifying events or whatever they are, like, tiered events. And they're just all over the place. So they're all they're scattered throughout the year. They're all over the shop, and there's no consistency with it. So I think the downside to it is we see, like, we don't, like, it's half the time you don't even know when one's on. So
no, you don't, not until like a couple of weeks before.
Yeah. So everything's very last minute. And then for the most part, we're seeing them like in the middle of the year. So you have all the pro guys, they're away. So they're not going to come and do them, like, obviously. So then we don't see, like, you don't see them at the races. And those guys they're the guys that are going to inspire the next generation. They're the guys that are, that the young kids and the youth want to see. And that, I want to be like Dean Lucas one day, or Conor Fearon or Troy or whatever. and then when they don't get the opportunity to sit on a shuttle bus with them, to talk with them anymore, like, because they're just not around.
Yeah.
They don't get to jump behind them on the track and try follow them down, like, and see how they do things. Like, so these opportunities and these experiences that we used to have, that would benefit like people up and coming, like being around these, top tier guys, is we just don't have it anymore. We have it like at, national champs, and like, Cannonball Festival or whatever, like two races maybe a year, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like I'm in the same boat. Like, I think I did the math for 2019. I don't think Jack Moyer would have qualified for a World Cup, because we had 4 events that qualified to get World Cup points in Australia, including Oceanic Championships. And the ones that we did have that were a national event that weren't national champs were in Melbourne, and you got 10 points if you won.
Yeah. It's
like,
I think it's like, it's just gone so backwards. And I think, like, I just think they got it wrong. They like, if I'm honest, like, they like, their answer was, okay, like, we'll put it back to the clubs. But, the clubs aren't going to talk to each other about, okay, like, well, let's all have it, at the 6 months over, summer or whatever, in the warmer weather, when all the pro guys are back or whatever. They're not going to do it like that. They just do it when they can fit it in around their calendar, which is fair enough. But I think when it comes, like, when you're going to have a national series, it has to be set in stone, and it has to be over a certain period of time. So people that want to take that next step can potentially take that next step. Like, and it's denying, people that opportunity and that experience. And I think we're going to pay the price for it now because of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, as you said, like, from what I understand, the theory was like to have that planned national series in so many different states made it harder for people to travel. So they put it back on the clubs, which puts extra stress on the clubs because they got to pay money and pay in time.
Yeah.
But, like, the idea was that people could do a national level race in their hometown, but Melbourne and Queensland and I think WA are probably the only ones. I think we've had 1 year in SA.
Yeah.
Like, in the last 3 years, like, it's changed nothing. It's made it harder to plan. It's such a weird system.
Yeah. It's made so much worse, and it's taken, like, for a club that that was trying to make it, like, to go down the path of being elitist, and then they've made it like it's just a shit show, and like the races that are now a tiered event feel like a club round. Like, what's the benefit of that?
Yeah, I don't think you don't see many people going to like another state just to race a club round because it's just a certain tier.
Yeah.
I can't imagine many people doing
it. Not at all. Like, I think it's definitely it's done more harm than good. I don't know. I'm sure there's people out there that maybe think it is great. Like,
oh, for sure.
But for me, like, I guess I'm going to say, coming from the golden era of mountain biking, where it was still cool and fun. Yeah, I think they've made a mess of it, and it could be so much better. I think, like, what Frenchie's doing down in Medina, like, national champs felt like a mountain bike race should be. It had every side of it. Like, it was serious, but there's fun. You got lots of riding as well. Yeah, and he put on an amazing show, and I think, like, if MTBA could look at what he's doing and what he did, and follow that lead, like, and make these, like, it doesn't even have to be like 6 rounds like it used to be. Like, make it like 3 rounds plus champs, or 2 rounds plus champs, like, just a little bit more, so we have a bit more of a scene. And I think it'd go a long way. Like, and they used to argue about, like, you can't have cross country riders and downhillers together. Why not? Like, it just adds to the atmosphere. Like, I'm sure, I don't know, I can't speak on behalf of the cross country guys, but I'm pretty sure they enjoy being cheered by people.
Oh,
yeah.
Nationals, like half the parents for the like downhill kids, like the parents went up on the hill, cheering, because cross country was so close to the village. Like they were all out in the course. I don't think I've seen a big XC crowd like that for a while. No. Like everyone was frothing.
It was sick, and I think they like look. There was this when we were racing national champs, like, or not national champs, sorry, the national series back in the day. Like, the tracks used to change like all the time, and that was exciting and that was sick. But I mean, you could do the same thing as national champs, 3 years, keep it in the same spots for wherever, and then change it up. But have a series, and like always, like, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes to a full degree. So, but like, I think that'd be awesome. Like and I know like Threadbow, like they don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. They don't want to bar MTBA, and that's why they started up their own series. And I don't blame them. They just had nothing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And they lost. They lost one of their best venues because of it, because of the way that they were doing things.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And like, it's not just a shit. I'm not here just to rag on MTBA, but there's so much more they could be doing.
Oh yeah, there's heaps. Well, it's not. We keep calling it MTBA. What's it called again?
Oz cycling.
Yeah. Remember?
I still don't count it.
We all got to vote, but none of us got to vote. It was that one. Yeah. So I don't know. Look, it'd be great if it changed. And I guess like the whole thing about Oz cycling is it was meant to change things. And fair play. Look, COVID hasn't really given them the opportunity to show what they can do yet. So we won't discount the life-changing experience that they're going to apparently give us. But like, look, I think, I mean, I've talked with people like heads of MTBA over the years, and they've asked for my opinion, and they've sat us down and like, what do we need to change, blah, 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 and done that on multiple occasions, and it just stays the same. So people get tired and they just, what's the point of sitting down and talking about it? It's just, you're just paying your lip service and not doing anything. So we'll see. I hope it changes, but like, at least there's people like, Frenchie changing it up with his events. Threadbow's still doing Cannonball and doing some cool stuff as well. And then there's Green Valleys as well up.
I was about to say Green Valleys have been really trying.
Nick's phenomenal. Like he's pushing things really hard. He's trying to push the scene and the free ride scene. And the thing with Nick, like he does it for the love of it. Like he's not making millions. Like he's getting by, but he's doing it for a passion for the sport, and I really respect the way he does things because of that.
We'll move on to another thing you're quite passionate about, obviously, but like you've been working on your own for 3 or 4 years now. I can't remember.
Yeah, neither can I. So fully out on my own. I think it's about 4 years, I'd say. Yeah.
What kind of led you to taking the leap into like arguably one of the hardest industries to get into and do by yourself?
So for me, like I had plenty of bad experiences, unfortunately, in the bike industry. So I had many employers that would not do what they were meant to do. So plenty of people not paying me super, and you find out, like I was young, you didn't realize sort of what was going on at that point. You get taken for a ride and then being lied to. We'll give you a pay rise next month, and that would go on forever. And so you get treated like dirt a few times, and then you start getting your back up a bit with it, if I'm honest. But the last shop I worked in Canberra, a shop called Ride Shop, and like that was the phenomenal business to work in, like great owners. But for me, like it just come to a point like I was just bored. Like it was, they're a city shop, so it was mainly like commuters and things like that. So it wasn't anything particularly exciting. when it came to work. And I remember like when a suspension job came in, I'd be like, sweet, I get to do something different. And they knew what I could do, and they knew like, I knew how to do all these things, but just wasn't in their business model, and wasn't, they weren't interested in capitalizing on those skills that I had. So I was fine with that for a period of time. And then, I was just like, look, I need to do my own thing. And, I thought pretty long and hard about doing it. And then, my now wife was pretty supportive, and I was like, oh, I'll work part-time. I'll do this and I'll do that. And she's she was just like, nah, you got to put everything into it. You just fucking do it, basically. And so I think she was like the one that like pushed me probably more than anyone to just go all in. And it was terrifying, basically, because you don't know.
It's a big move.
Yeah, you don't know when your next dollar's coming from. And I think the thing for me is like in the mountain bike scene, a lot of people know who I am, but when it comes to just people just ride bikes, they don't know me. They don't know anything about me. So I was just some new guy that was fixing bikes. And then it's just a slow burn from there to build it to sort of what it is now. And I'm fortunate. I was in a fortunate position, like me and my wife, like financially, to be able to like go 100% in. Like you kind of don't spend money on certain things for that period of time. So it's I wouldn't say we did it tough or anything. And then started seeing things changing, basically. And then it started getting the ball rolling. You still have days where you're like, oh shit, why am I doing this? Like I could have made more money like as a checkout chick, like that. Literally how it felt sometimes. You're like, man, I'm making peanuts. And then I remember when I did my first tax return after doing it, I was like, oh, this is shameful. Like I could make money on the dole. But you push through it and believe in it, like and while you're doing it, I just love bikes. And I tried to do other things like growing up. Like I started to be a network engineer, so like computer stuff. I know, weird. So I did that, and I didn't last long at that. I got bored. I made it about a year in, and then pulled the pin on that. And so it was always going to be bikes. Like so I was like, okay, I've got to make bikes work for me. And just went in on it.
That's right.
I think I was like, I'm lucky. Like from knowing people in the industry, it sort of helped get me going. And there was a lot of support from certain brands. Like SRAM was amazing. Like that straight away they were there to help me, and the guys at Lusty as well, and a couple others. Like I wish I could remember which ones now, because they're pretty important. They backed me from the get-go. But like having those people like helping, it was pretty good. And then the old shop I worked at, they were happy to help me take that leap as well. So I talked to Tim, the owner of that shop, a lot, and like get advice from him. And it was a lot of learning on the go, a lot of like Googling, a lot of reading. So like how does accounting software work? Like all that stuff. I had no idea. So a lot of learning on the fly. A lot of mistakes too. So
We've kind of seen like especially like during the COVID times. I don't know what it's like up there, but we saw a lot of people kind of go out on their own and start their own thing. Like, what do you think it's all because of the same reason? Like, I mean, that's again a blanket statement, but
I think if I'm honest, I think it is like a lot to do with depending on business. Like I know like there's a lot of employers out there that aren't paying their super to their staff. I know it happens. Like, and you think about the type of people that work in shops or that start off in shops, we're all young. Like we're all young, or for the most part. And when you're young, you're easy to take advantage of. So I think that's still going on 110%. But also just like being undervalued. I think
yeah, 100%.
mechanics are really undervalued in most shops. Like I remember so one business owner said, and this wasn't a shop I worked in, but said to one of the staff, like, I could teach a monkey to do your job. And that was, he said that. I remember, and then that mechanic, he stayed on for another 3 months and then he quit. Yeah, because he just had enough and then did his own thing. So, like, I think that attitude, some owners have, like, I'm not saying all of them are like that by any means. Like, so my old boss, he was amazing, but I think we see that a lot in bike shops is the mechanics are a second thought, like we're there to sell bikes, we're there to sell P&A or whatever. Like it's instant money. Where mechanics are like, oh yeah, we sell that, we should probably have someone there that can fix it. Like,
yeah,
there's that kind of attitude and not knowing, like, you have some people that are just like, oh, I like bikes, I'm going to buy a bike shop. And they don't realize
exactly
the technology and the work that does go into, like to keeping these things going. Like there's a lot going on with modern bikes, and it's like it's a specialty skill set to be able to do a good job and to fix them properly and to make sure they are safe for people to rip down a hill on. Sorry, I just thought I was getting a message saying, oh, dinner's ready, but no, we're good. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I think, like when employers are like, okay, they can get some work experience kit or whatever to be a mechanic, like, it undervalues like what people do, and there's no path, I guess, as well. So you're getting undervalued, and there's no path like for you to move forwards in, and
exactly,
and you're getting paid peanuts. Like, what's the attraction? Yeah. So I think when you see a lot of people going out on their own because they're like, well, okay, I can directly see like the work I do will influence my bank account, and I can do the work I want to do, and I don't have someone telling me like, like all you are is a mechanic, like, yeah. I think that mentality is what's sort of killing the profession somewhat in Australia. Like I remember when I first started, it was a desirable job. It was like a cool job to have, and now you see like there's less and less skilled workers. Yeah, they go off and do something else. Yeah. No one.
Or there's maybe like one shop worth, and that's the shop to go to.
Yeah, that's it. 100%, 100%. And it's generally the one like I used to always say to some people I've worked for, is like it's not the walls and the shit you have in the shop, it's the staff that makes it. Like if you've got shit staff, it doesn't matter how good everything is in there, you're not going to do any good. So I think I think the industry's changing, and I think we'll start seeing maybe some people change with it, but it's. I think do you guys have like some form of accreditation as mechanics over there? I don't know.
No, that's why we still get paid retail wage.
Yeah. And we're the same here. There's somewhere that it is like you can get it recognised, but I mean, I think
New South Wales and Victoria,
maybe
Victoria.
Yeah. But I mean, you still get paid peanuts anyway. But like, at least you have something to show for it, I guess. Yeah.
Well, one, like an accreditation is going to make a lot more safer mechanics for sure.
Oh yeah, anyone can say they're a mechanic at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. There's a certain big red store that just has people that have walked in off the street, and dude, it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah.
And then like you've got mechanics that can literally like 3D print parts. They've got to diagnose and change DI2 issues. You've got changing shim stacks and shocks, and the guy down at Cotton On, which is a terrible job. Like I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah,
they deserve more money, but they're still getting paid the same as this guy that can do all that stuff.
If not more,
blows my mind.
If not more,
Yeah.
like that's the thing. Like I looked at it at one point, and you could be I could do checkout work at Aldi, and I would actually make more. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And
it's
I think that's like, I think there's businesses now that are starting to cotton on to that fact, because I think it's harder for them to get a good mechanic now, and there's more and more people complaining, I can't get a good mechanic. Well, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. That's the old saying, isn't it? So, yeah, I think we're starting to see somewhat of a shift, but it's just mainly because no one's doing it. Like there's like there's in Canberra doing what I do. There's no one else. So it's yeah, and I think in Adelaide there's like a couple of there's obviously Aaron, like the wizard of bikes. He lives there. So like, and yeah, unless you get on like a World Cup team like Aaron has, or get in a really good shop, there's not much hope, unfortunately. Yeah.
And like you can see that, I guess, from the types of people that end up in bike shops or managing bike shops. Like not many of them, I can name a few here that have actually been like trained in management or understand business.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think it's they just it's like the next step. Like, and I mean, for me, like I think like when I opted to go out of my own, like I saw, like heard stories of other people that have gone out there, and I was like, fuck, they're useless. Like, why can't I do that? Like, I know I'm not like dumb as a post. So, and that, that kind of like spurred me on to do my own thing. Cause like, I was like, if bloody, dumbass can do it, I can do it for sure. So it's, I think that things need to change there as well. Like, I think some suppliers are changing the way things are going as well. But when we have these big shops that are more about volume, rather than like doing good work when it comes to repairs, I think you're always going to see people, doing the mobile mechanic thing or whatever, working from home or like a small shop space or whatever. Like these specialized workshops are going to continue popping up for that reason, like because you have these massive chain stores that are they're only there for one thing. And I think when people like consumers, like if you can support that mechanic, that you're if they have parts, buy the parts from them. They're going to be the ones. 100%. They're going to be the ones that are going to sort you out at the last minute. Like, but I need it for the weekend. They're the guys that are going to work till 9 o'clock at night to get your going. Like
opening hours don't exist.
That's it. Yeah.
All the time.
Let's face it. You're on call. Yeah. I've got
the amount of
business pages, emails, and phone, and for the most part, it's my personal phone and my personal Instagram, and I just get like people at all hours messaging me on that. I still tell them to use the other one, like the proper things that I paid for, but you still get people on that. So you're always working. Yeah.
It's good though. Like I did enjoy it when I was doing going back to the 9 to 5 is sick. And I mean, I still don't really do a 9 to 5, but like being able to fix someone's problem, like at 8:30 at night, and they got a race the next day is kind of more rewarding as well. Like it's to a degree. There comes a point, I think, as well. Like for every night, definitely not. But like if there's that odd occasion,
if they're grateful, that's what makes it. That's what makes it special. Like for anyone going out there that needs their bike fixed, beer, you jump the queue. In any scenario, rock up with the 6-pack. You'll jump the queue in the workshop. In any business, I'll tell you that much for free. Yeah.
Beer and cake. Beer and food. Like it always seemed to work.
Yeah.
but it's just that sign of like being grateful about something.
Oh,
yeah.
It goes along. It goes so far, and then like in the people that I have helped over the years, and then the ones that sort of aren't being helped anymore or whatever. A lot of the time it comes down to like their recognition of the work you're doing, and if they are grateful of it, you're stoked with it. Like, and like when all you're asking is for like, just tag me, like, when I do whatever, you save them $100, like hundreds of dollars sometimes, and all they have to do is just tag your business. Like, this is when we're talking about the value of the dollar, going back earlier in our conversation. But yeah, when people show their gratitude, like whether it be like with a cake or a tag or a cheesy line on Facebook, like saying how good you are or whatever, like it's that's what makes a difference, and that might keep someone in a shop potentially, sometimes like a good mechanic in a shop for a bit longer. They're like, what I'm doing is good. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, definitely. That's a good spot to kind of end that conversation on. I think it's getting time for your dinner up there. So
yeah, she hasn't.
We'll start.
If you start hearing swearing, that's about right. Or you see this thing fall over, she's gone.
Yeah. Just flying across the room.
Yeah.
We might start wrapping things up anyway.
Yeah.
One question I think everyone would want to know is, can you give us some tips on how to maintain that mustache?
Well, I live and learn as well. I think if we've learned anything from this conversation tonight is like it's about learning from your mistakes. So I don't know. I'd have to say it's a shampoo and condition that goes a long way. And using the appropriate products in it to get your twizzle. I think Connor Clancy's now trying to take a page out of my book too. Last photo I saw of him.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, it looked like he had like a little blondie mo. So I think he's trying to level up. Yeah.
Well, he gave up racing downhill, so he's got to do something.
Well, that's it. Yeah, plenty of time to grow a moustache. Yeah.
Rumor has it he'll be out at state champs this week. So
I had a chat with him today. Yeah, apparently he's going to be out there. Yeah, I've got I don't think all his unit gear that's turned up here is going to turn up just yet, but going to have to run last season's, but he'll be right.
Yeah, it's going to be a really sick race.
I'm very jealous. Like we're talking about like races, and that was my plan. Actually, was come over to that one, and I even bought like my old prototype Banshee from 08 so I could race vintage class or what.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
But Canberra lockdown, we're stuck. So we're spewing. Yeah, can't do anything. Yeah. My life is consisting of eating and drinking again. I'm back to 22.
It's full circle.
Yeah.
We'll get to the last three questions.
Sick.
What advice would you give to, I guess, someone that wants to get into the mountain bike scene or become a bigger part of it, and then I guess be a part of the industry?
So look, first thing to do, club level racing. That gets you in. That's where you're going to meet everyone. That's where you're going to meet everyone that's active in your scene 100%. And then I'd say the next step is volunteer. Like you can race and still help out, put up bunting, pull down bunting, offer their help on the dig days. These are all big things. And they're like, if you want to get in the bike shop and you can say, they know who you are from that, or, they know your face, that's half the, that's a barrier already broken down. They know that you're actively involved and that you're passionate about it. And then, from there, you can end up being a mechanic, or I think, Phil Wood was on here, like what, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Like Phil's a pretty good example. Like, he started off in the bike shop, and you can end up, at an importer or whatever. And then there's more doors that open from there on out, depending where you live, I guess. So, if you work for an importer, that gives you the opportunity to then be involved with some big brands. And if you're active in your local scene as well, like, you know, I'm sure that gives you the opportunity to, there's a fast guy and you're a good mechanic, maybe to get overseas. Like there's paths you can take. Definitely, I'd say always have a backup plan. It always helps.
Yeah.
Don't put all your eggs in that one basket, but you know, don't be afraid to adapt and be fluid and kind of move with where life takes you. You never know. Like, yeah, like if don't ever say you don't have enough money. You can do it on bugger all. You know, like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
If you want it, you want it. Like, I slept in tents and in car parks and stuff for the first few years. So if you want it, you can do it. Like, it doesn't matter how much little money you have. Like, to anyone that's sort of, you know, in the same situation I was, I'd say still go for it. There's going to be people there that are going to lift you up and push you, and you know, you made some lifelong friends. 100%.
Yeah, definitely. And like, as you're saying, like, being a part of that, like, man, the people that are at races, it's insane. Like, you don't know that you're standing next to the communications officer of one of the biggest online retailers.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know if that guy over there just designed some of the sickest carbon riggers.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You never know. You never know where that opportunity is going to come from. And if you're passionate about bikes, the people that are passionate about bikes, making bikes, and, you know, getting people on bikes in Australia, they're going to be at these events. Like, and half of it's just that introduction, that first introduction, and then that's what comes from there. Like, my advice is, like, just be yourself. Don't be a liar. We can see through it. We see through it so quick. But you know, be yourself, and you know, just be real. And if you like that, I think, you know, you're going to get along well with most mountain bikers. Like, everyone's pretty chilled out, and everyone's pretty supportive. So, you know, you'll go far, depending if you want to stay with mountain biking. Yeah,
exactly.
You could become a lawyer.
So it's like, yeah, exactly. But then again, like, as I said, you never know who's going to be there. Like, a good friend of mine down here, Jack Fletcher, he went mentoring me. Like, he owns his own electrician business, like does electrical consulting and stuff.
Yeah.
All his employers are racers from here.
Yeah, and that's
like everyone that works for him is from here.
That's it. It opens the door. Like, it doesn't have to be bikes. It can be any other industry. Like, there's so many people that ride bikes, and you know, that it could get you talking about something else. Like, it's, I think that like we said, like, mountain bikers, where, you know, for the most part, everyone's really friendly. And like, I know if someone starts talking to me, I just start talking to them straight away.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know, like, at any race. So, you know, I've had a couple of kids say, I was too scared to come talk to you. I was like, why? Like, just come up and talk to me. Like, I'm not that special. Like,
probably the mustache.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like, stranger danger. I think I do schools now as well. You wouldn't be allowed near a primary school either, would you?
It's for a whole bunch of other reasons. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gee.
On that note, is there anything that you have regretted or wish you'd done differently over the years?
Oh God, too many to count. I wish I didn't ride the poster bike naked, and get staff. That's up there. That's probably number one. I don't know. Look, everything sort of happens for a reason. I think some of my mistakes, no matter what they are, as long as you learn from them, I think they're good. They're all learning experiences. Like, but yeah, there's a few things I wish I wouldn't have done, like when camera phones were around. That's about it. Yeah. I wish I didn't have to untag myself every now and again. Like, nah. But yeah, nothing too serious. Nothing too serious. Nothing that's made of paper.
That's camera phones are they should. I did respect, like, at some events, like, all the camera phones kind of go away for after.
Yeah, I think it's a good.
Mostly.
Yeah. I think there's a photo of me and A and B running down the track naked. And I told the photographer no, and he still did it. So yeah, there you go. But he used a long lens, so you can't really tell it's me. But yeah, that I think I regret that because my old female boss in a bike shop recognized me, so that was weird. Yeah, that would be a regret. That would be a regret. Yeah, and look, I just wish I somehow got into it earlier. Yeah, that's my only.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Maybe worked a little bit harder and didn't party so much.
Maybe kept your clothes on.
Yeah. But Frank the Tank comes out.
Last question always seems the hardest, and I think it might be a good one for you because I can see a couple of instruments out the back. But what music do you listen to kind of get motivated or get into the mood?
Man, I'm pretty diverse, but I'd say like I'm definitely punk and metal, like typical. Obviously, there's a banjo there. That like most things I do was a joke. And then I basically just started getting into it. And it's the same with the Mustache, actually. That was a joke, and now it's still got it. So I think a lot of things I start off as a bit of a joke, and then they continue on. But, yeah, definitely, punk and metal. Look, Michael Willis has a bit of an influence on some of the music I listen to as well. He listens to some wild stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Even have a chat to him about what music he listens to. But yeah, like, I don't know. I hadn't listened to Enya ever. And then that guy listens to Enya. Like anytime we're at a race, it's a weird ritual, but he plays like some Enya song every morning.
That's super
weird.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it. Something Flow. I can't remember, but look it up. It doesn't get you in the mood, but now because I think we've heard it so many times, now it does. Yeah.
It's like Pavlov's dogs. He just starts getting you salivating every time you hear it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. Yeah. Enya, can get you pumped. Yeah.
It's a whole different wavelength.
Yeah, that's I was surprised too that when he'd never heard of Enya till I think about a year ago, and then he's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." Yeah. Look, he's a tap unit. Like he's a strange little fella. Yeah.
Have you got any bands or anything like they're in heavy rotation?
Oh man, that's a tough one at the moment. I mean, I don't think I've been. Look, people are going to frown upon me for this after just saying I listen to punk and metal, but I had to start listening to a bit of Aussie hip hop this week. So it changes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
There's some guilty pleasures as well. I'm not ashamed to say, look, I don't mind some Celine Dion, and I can sing all the words to Spice Girls Wannabe as well. So I'm two sides to every coin.
Hey, Celine Dion was in Deadpool. Like that just made it
man.
Cool.
From Ashes is the name of the song. It is great. So you know.
The fact you can name that is like next level.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too good.
Yeah. Like I said, big softy, mate. Big softy.
Oh yeah. Gentle giant. Yeah. Easy, mate. Well, I think we'll wrap it up on that. Yeah. Celine Dion is always a good ending.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for taking the time out and having a chat.
No worries. My pleasure. It's sick. Yeah. Anytime.
Yeah, we'll do a big group on it, one of the national events.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. Yeah, maybe a couple of Denzel Frothingtons to loosen the lips.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right,
just a phone.
Well,
thanks, man.
See you at an event soon.
Yeah, man.
Peace.
Thank you.
Later.
Cheers. Bye.